Yeah, hello everybody. Didn't expect that many people to my first JSUnconf talk, but I'm happy you all are here. Yeah, hacking games and why should you do it? Most of us started learning programming by ourselves at home, reading books or magazines, and then the internet came and we learned everything there. But I think we can agree on that we actually learn the most while we are debugging and searching for bugs and browsing the code and really try to understand what we actually did there. Because while we are coding, we kind of know what we're doing and we just type it down, and in the end, if everything works, we're happy and never see the file again. And yeah, and I also really like games, and what I do in my free time is, apart from programming games, I check out games online and try to see their code and how they solve the problems they had and how I can manipulate that to my advantage. So what do you see here? This is a game I actually made myself, kind of a proof of concept thing. I made this back when this candy box thing went viral. Probably you know that game, where you get candy and you can eat all the candy, and then you get a sword and you get quests and the frog comes and you can answer all the questions. So what do you have to do here? It's a very simple game. The goal is to become a millionaire, and you have 20 gold and you can mine gold. So it's a classic clicker game. And it's also an idle game because you can use your gold to buy a miner. So here's Pete. Pete is working in the mine, and every 5 gold or so, he puts his gold into my pocket. And he's working. And he has an efficiency, and I can use my gold to upgrade Pete, or I can use my gold to hire another miner. So if I don't want to wait until Pete has mined all the gold, I just click here very rapidly. And now I buy a second miner and click again. Okay, that's 100. That takes too much time. Now I'm already bored and I want the game to progress faster. So what do I do? First thing is I check the sources. So there's a JavaScript folder and there's an index HTML. That's the easiest way to start. Just go there and check for any scripts. So there's one script tag loading require.js, and data main is loading the app.js. So I might want to check out the app.js. Not the game.js, where's the app.js? JS, there's no app.js, so maybe it's the game.js. Maybe I don't know my code as well. So I check the code and I browse the code and I can set some breakpoints, of course. That would be the easiest approach. Or I can check if there's something like access to the window object where my game object is stored. This is obviously on purpose. Yeah. But the much more easier approach is I know I can click this button to get some gold, so why don't I just inspect it and see if it has an ID or it has an ID, and just take that, and hopefully jQuery is installed, and looks like it is. I have to code with one hand now, that's a little bit difficult. Like that, okay, I get it, and I can run the click function. Did it work? It looks like it works. Okay, now the tricky stuff, set interval, and then I pass in a function, and then I take the button like that, and then I do click, and because I don't want to wait that long, there's the syntax error. I just don't pass any value into the set interval function, which makes it run really fast. And now I get all the gold I want, and I can buy all the miners I need, and now I just have to wait. Okay, I actually can, depending on my memory on my local machine, I can run this a couple times more. And gold increases much faster, and now, apparently I got all the miners, so now I can work on the efficiency, so they are better at mining. But still, now we would wait like 10 minutes to get all the 1 million. I actually tested it when you only have the miners and you don't cheat, and you have all the miners and no efficiency upgrade. It takes like 24 hours for them to mine all the 1 million. But that's obviously too much time. So what can we do? We know we have to become a millionaire, and we already checked the source and saw that, there's the Pete object in the window. So you might want to inspect that. Pete. So it looks like a backbone view because it obviously is. And what do I have here? I have an event log. I don't care for that. I have improvements. Oh, a tavern. I never saw that. Actually, that's a feature I put in and then put it out again. So we don't care for that. I have minors, which is an array where all my minors are stored, but I don't care for them because they're too slow. And there's stats. Ooh, and stats looks very nice. So I have a bag size, probably the size of the miners, and when they put their gold into my storage. Don't care much for that. And I have the state of my current gold. This is very nice. So let me quickly reload that to make it more obvious what happens now. I can use Pete and then stats. This is the stats object. I could easily try to say, oh, there's a one property. I put it to true. And what happens next? Seems like nothing happened except that I can't really do anything. So probably the game checked that I win, but didn't make a proper response. What else can I do? There's gold. Ah, that sounds nice. So Pete.stats.gold equals 9999990. Okay, that worked, obviously. And now I try to click it for 10 times. I have the patience for that, actually. Nice! I won the game. Very good. I don't have to play it anymore. I know all the features. But that's something I programmed myself. It was pretty easy to hack. Now try a real example. I already talked about Candybox. When you first load the page, you only see candies increasing over time. And suddenly there appears a button where I can eat all the candy. And nothing happened except for a text that I ate 9 candies. And on my first try of this game, I just clicked it over and over again in the hope that something would change, but actually nothing changed. You have to wait until there are like 100 candies, then the next button appears, and the game kind of explodes from there. You get more and more features. Oh, I can throw candies on the ground. I can do that much more often, and sometimes there will be a unhappy smiley face there, and it changes depending on how many candy you can throw on the ground. So, but I don't want to wait here, and I want to improve that as well. So I check the sources again, and see there's a scripts folder, and there's lots of scripts, so many scripts. So when I come to a situation where I have that many scripts, I try something else first. Because most game developers, to be able to debug their game while it's running and to manipulate it, to test if everything is working, they expose the game object, like I did with Pete. So I check for game. This is the first thing I do. There's no game, unfortunately. Maybe they got clever and had the capital G, but that doesn't seem to work as well. So I'm screwed and I have to check the source again. And check for something candies. Candies sounds very good because I get candies, and I would assume that something happening with the candies is in the candies.js. And here in the script, I see that the var statement for the candies object is directly in the file, so I know it's on the global scope. And I try that out, and let's see if there's actually a candies. And there is a candies object. So what do I got here? Console, sec. I got candies per second. Oh, that sounds very interesting. Let's try that. Candies per second equals to 1337. Ah, marvelous. So I don't want to wait that long, so try to exploit that a little bit and make the game progress faster. Ah, there's the merchant. You have to wait until you got 100 candies, so and then 100. I can buy the wooden sword now, and the copper sword, and the iron sword, and the silver sword, and the diamond sword. I can use 101 candies to encrust it, and now in my inventory I have the candy diamond sword. Usually for the first quest, the peaceful forest, where I only have to kill trees, the wooden sword would be enough, but it is much more faster with the diamond sword because they immediately die and I can progress through the quests. The actual goal is to beat all the quests. There's like 14 quests, I think, and there's even one quest where the end boss is the developer. I only beat that level by putting a breakpoint into the game and setting the HP of the developer to 0. But it worked. And since the code is so nice and clean and not minified and not obfuscated, it's very easy to hack. Obviously, the developer of that game realized that and made some improvements in Candybox 2. So this is the sequel to Candybox, and it's basically the same game. There's lots of more features and some changes in the game. And if we check the sources again, we find the Candybox 2.js. So Oh shit. That will take more time to hack actually, but on Chrome there's this nice button in the left here called Pretty Print. And Pretty prints obfuscated code, so it's better readable. It doesn't change the variable names unless you get access to the map file. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the map file because the deployed version of the JavaScript doesn't include the little map tag, which is very good for him. Obviously, he realized that something, or she, that players hacked the game. And yeah, now I can start putting breakpoints on here and beat the game as well. But I don't want to exploit the second candy box. I just want to actually want to show you another game. Cookie Clicker. Probably many of you know the game Cookie Clicker. Come on. Obviously, this is some safe game. No, I don't want to. Can I reset the game somewhere? Settings. Options. Options. Wipe. Very good. Do it. Okay. Cookie Clicker is a very nice game. There's the cookie. You click it. You get a cookie. And when you have 15 cookies, you get a cursor, which means now I get 0.1 cookie per second. And I can click over and over and over and over and over again and can buy a second cursor. When I have 100 cookies, I get the grandma. And then I get the factory and the cookie farm and some quantum physics operating machine who does like 1 trillion cookies a second. But you know me, I'm not very patient when it comes to games. I want to see everything right away. And I try the first thing again, which I did with the Pete game. Yeah, I check out the button, and fortunately, this is just plain HTML and JavaScript. Flash games are not that easy to hack. You would need to use some kind of tool for that, but I don't like that. And yeah, this is a button again with the ID, and I think we can try out if I am able to do the same trick I did with Pete. So I have the jQuery here, right? Yes. And then we get the big cookie. And that works as well, and I can click it. I can click it, so the rest is easy. Set interval. German keyboards. Boom! Nice. So that is very good. But yeah, the achievements are popping all over this place. I'm so good I get all the achievements. And now I can buy a farm directly without having to have a grandma. But you can imagine there's quite some objects here, and the list grows and grows. It only shows you the next two. So, impatient as I am, let's check the source code if we can speed this process up. There's a main.js. And the main.js is quite some file, lots of lines, markup, game code, interesting game values, and they are all explained. Very nice, thank you very much. Yeah. Cookies earned, cookies PS is probably cookies per second. Cookie frenzy max power, click frenzy, golden clicks. Yeah, sometimes there appears like a golden thingy here, and I can click it and I get some extra cookies. But what I'm actually interested in is if there's the possibility to manipulate the buildings directly instead of clicking the button automatically. So let's check out the console if we have some kind of game object again. Okay, that's a div container, don't care for that. Oh, and there is a game object. Is it the right one? Let's see. Oh, that looks very nice. So, what do we got here? We got big cookie size, we got can click. Interesting, so there's obviously some kind of cheat prevention. Maybe this gets set to 0 when you click, so that's preventing you from clicking thousands of times per second, but obviously it doesn't do the job very good. And let's see, objects by ID. What's that? Aha. auto clicks once every 10 seconds, cursor. So that's obviously the buildings, and there's 14 of them. So the best building probably is the last one in the array. And the numbers look quite nice, very many zeros. The prism converts light itself into cookies. Yeah, that's what I'm going for. But to make sure, what are the values I can set? So there is an amount, and there is board. And I tried this once. If you only update one of those values, it does nothing, because the game internally checks and see if those numbers match to see if the user cheated. So what we have to do is we have to increase both of them. Okay, let's try that. So it was game objects by ID, then we got 14, so I need 13, and then amount equals some crazy big ass number, and then the same number for game object 13.board. And I think I broke it. Yeah, happens from time to time. Oh snap. If you get too crazy with the numbers, the games kind of crash, so maybe we try 1,000. That works much better. And the achievements are rolling in again. So let's quickly just close it, see if everything's correct. I get the prism 1,000 times. Great. And I get 2.9 trillion cookies per second. That's something I can work with. For my next game, anyone here working at Gameforge? No? Great. Anyone working at BigPoint? You will like that. No? Okay. I used to work at both. Next game is Ogame. This is a very classic browser game, which actually works with PHP, which means most of the clicks you do trigger a refresh of the page, which is very unfortunate because I cannot run my set interval stuff or anything like that, because if I actually do an interaction with the game, the page gets reloaded, and my script is gone. Of course, when the page is reloaded, there's requests to the server, they validate stuff you do, so there's not much to actually cheat to progress in the game. And that's good because that's a multiplayer game. In single-player games, developers usually don't care about preventing players to cheat, because why should they? There's no competition with other players, and you don't necessarily need to prevent the cheating thing unless you have something like a competition, which is where you collect the stats and you see, okay, the best player of my game actually wins something. Then you want to prevent cheating. But unless you don't have that, don't care about it. People will do it anyway. There's the cheat engine, where you can read the memory stats. And it's a waste of time if you just do a single-player game. And for this game, I had to actually play it a little bit. I played it back in 2004 or something. Because there's one thing in the game which gets really annoying. This is a game in a universe where you have planets and you can build on the planets, mines and ships, and then you can take your fleet and attack other players. And there's one thing you do very often. You get those planets here, and they also produce resources, but usually you build your fleet on your main planet. So what you do is you click on the planet, page gets reloaded. You click on the fleet button, page gets reloaded. You select the ships you want to send and click on next, page gets reloaded. You check a short link for the planet, and back in the days, those didn't exist. You had to type the coordinates manually, pain in the ass. And then you click again, page gets reloaded, and you I have to choose the mission, so transport, select all the resources, and then I can click Flotte versenden, sending my fleet to the actual planet. So what did I did here? I know that I cannot use the JavaScript and just paste it in and it will do the magic because the page reloads. But I know that I can manipulate bookmarks. If you have a bookmark and you just type JavaScript, and then you can add JavaScript code there. I use this very often to prevent Google from, when you search on Google, sometimes they notice you that they have new TOS or something with the overlay, and you have to agree to them unless you don't want to use Google anymore. And I have a little bookmark which actually removes the entire div, and I can just continue search without ever agreeing to the new terms of service, which is very nice. I think I'm on the TOS from, I don't know, 4 years ago. And I did the same here. So I have 3 bookmarks. The first is Fleet 1. Fleet 1 just selects all my transport ships and clicks next. And it doesn't actually just click next. There is a function they expose to the global scope, because the game is mostly written in PHP, but they have some JavaScript functions there to help them make it a little bit more dynamic, like the counters and stuff. And they also have the try submit function, the global scope, which is used on the fleet screen to actually try to submit their JavaScript form. And you can use that. So I just click send all, and then call the function try submit. And that worked. I'm on the next screen. Next step is the Fleet 2 bookmark. Can you read the little tooltip? Yeah, right. So I select the span from the planets with the anchor, and then click it, which actually does this little short thing here. Then the selection pops out, and I select after that the UL initialized LE, which is the first element of the list. You have to do a little inspecting for that. And then again, try the try submit button, and it works. And then for the last screen, I do the set selected function. This is another public function for the mission select. Then the next thing is the update mission. One thing, the first part in here, the set selected, just renders around an orange box around the transport. And the next one actually clicks it, and then usually when you click it, this opens and you can fill the values. And there's buttons here for automatically setting all the resources. And if you're very good at looking, you can see the change. Oh, and if I'm good at clicking, you can actually see the change. You see the numbers get filled in and my fleet is sent away. Usually if you do all this process by hand, it takes up to 5 minutes, sending all your ships from all your subplanets to your main planet. And you can have up to 12 planets. So it will take up a significant amount of time while you play. And I don't want to wait, especially if I get attacked. If I get attacked, I want to save all my fleets immediately. And what I just do is I select a planet, and then I just click Fleet 1, Fleet 2, Fleet 3, and select Fleet 3, and select the next planet. And why should you do that? Why should you hack the games? Because you learn a lot on how other game developers or developers in general solve their problems, how they try to prevent cheating. And there's a nice example in Dripstat. That's another idle game, the last one I showed you today. Any one of you writes Java? You will like that maybe a lot. So this is a memory leak idle game. You create new objects to leak memory. And once you have leaked enough, you can drop the memory. And there's actually multiplayer involved, where people are compared to each other depending on how much memory they have leaked. And what the game actually supports, I don't know if we will be able to see this, is that you can connect a virtual machine to that game, which does all the heavy lifting for you, like clicking and stuff. So quickly try to do the little hack with a click event, button add memory, console. And again, what was it? btn add something, btn dash add mem. Button dash add mem. Are you here? Yes. Can I click you? Does it work? Is there another thing in there? No. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. It used to work. That's sad. Okay, you could now technically inspect the JavaScript and find the button. There's also a Chrome extension which cheats for you. Because you can also buy the upgrades here for the cursors and everything, which clicks automatically. And there's like a perfect path you can go, depending on when do you spend your memory on upgrades and when you just drip it and everything. And this thing does everything for you. And if you are too crazy about the cheating, I think I had like 25 set intervals running on the click button sometime, and then suddenly the page showed me, hey, looks like you're cheating, please reload the page. And once you reload the page, you're back to the beginning and have to click again. Yeah, so I think this was everything I wanted to show you, and I want to encourage you to hack the games. Police is not here yet, that's very good, so we have time for questions. And do that because you learn a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was kind of fun. Any questions? Oh,
well, first a comment. As you started the game with cookies, you already had a score from previous game, which means they store it in cookies or in local storage. So you might want to add first that and get all the information without using JavaScript. Maybe, that's just a guess. Maybe they synchronize with backend and you will have to go that difficult path. The question that I had is about the situation when you have a flash on the page. Do you have a possibility to set the coordinates where you have to click, or what would be your approach in this case?
Yeah, Flash is a little bit different. Technically, you could read the coordinates from the page and then just manually trigger a click event there, which is not that easy because to actually trigger manual click events, you have to dispatch them to an element. And then the element itself is clicked, not just the spot in the element. So it is quite tricky without extensions to click in Flash games. But there is a thing called the cheat engine. You have to deactivate your antivirus software for that because it kind of acts like a Trojan horse. And this lets you reach memory from tasks, from processes you select. And what you do is you go in the game, you take a number, for example, your gold. And you put that number, like you have 500 gold, you put that into the cheat engine, and then it lists you all the information it got where the number 500 is. Then you go back in the game again and spend some of your gold. And then you put that number you have left, like 250, back in the memory, and then you get a filtered list from your previous memory addresses and the next memory addresses, and then you compare those, and then you find a memory entry where the gold is actually stored, and then you can manipulate it and go back in the game and voila, see that there's the different amount. But in Flash games, like I said, it's much more harder, and usually they have something like cached game stats, which they compare on each tick to see if a user is cheating, because you can easily calculate how many gold you can get per tick or something like that. And but it works for most of the games on Congregate and Armor games and stuff like that.
Okay, nice. Another question? No? Okay.
I was thinking about how to, if I develop a game, how would I secure this from this kind of cheatings? And the way I see it is to constantly synchronize with the backend. That would be a solution, or what would be your solution to secure such clicking games?
Yeah, it depends again if it is single player or multiplayer. If it is multiplayer, you have to do some serious stuff to prevent this, and there is backend checks, of course, to do that. You can also do like hashes of your game stats, which you store somewhere deep in your game, and then compare those. For single player games, I wouldn't really care. If you really want to care, there's multiple ways you can use the local storage. You can, if you run only in Chrome, they have an open database where you can have a little SQL database. But the problem in the browser is that the user always has access to everything. You cannot hide something from the user only in the browser.
Yeah, but if I synchronize it with backend, so I have only a session ID, and then every click will be, there will be pretty heavy load backend then, but...
Right, and that's something you don't want your users to have kind of experience reloading the page every time you click, like in the Ogame.
No, not reload, just Ajax request or WebSockets.
Yeah, but still they take time. And in those idle games, you're usually very fast.
No, you can update for a user immediately, but synchronize it like afterwards, asynchronously.
Yeah, and then you risk getting a desync, and you have two states, one on the front end, it differs from the back end, and it kind of feels like cheating to the back end because the user was too fast. You have to be very careful with that to not ruin the user experience, because when your website breaks, people usually reload the page. If your game breaks, people usually throw it away and take the next game.
Okay, I think that's it for now. If there's someone make questions, I think it will be available in the...
Yeah, sure. Feel free to talk to me and add me on Twitter if you want to know more about that stuff. Luketep, maybe I can quickly open it, then you can see the name, hopefully. There, it's very small. There. Luke, like Skywalker, and TEP, like TEP, like TCP.
Okay,
thank you very much.
We see each other in 15 minutes. Thanks.